The prison siren screamed so loud they shook the walls. Red lights flashed across the yard. Guards ran in every direction, shouting into radios. Helicopter blades chopped the air above the fence. An inmate was gone, not transferred, not released. Gone. His cell was empty. His bed was cold. The bars were still locked. And this was not the first time. The man's name was Evan Cole. He had escaped once before. And now he had done it again. As officers searched the woods beyond the prison fence, one guard stared at the open maintenance tunnel and whispered, "If he made it past the river, we'll never see him again." That was the moment Evan Cole vanished into America forever. But to understand how this happened, you have to go back to the beginning. 5 years earlier, Evan Cole walked into prison in handcuffs. He was 34 years old, medium height, brown hair, nothing special about how he looked. If you passed him on the street, you would never remember his face. That was his greatest strength. Evan was sentenced to 12 years for armed burglary. No one died. No one was badly hurt. The judge called him a repeat offender with a clever mind. Evan didn't argue. He just listened. He was sent to Redwood State Prison, a medium-security prison in the middle of the country. Big fences, watchtowers, long gray buildings. From the first day, Evan watched everything. How guards walked their routes, which doors opened first, which cameras blinked before turning. Other inmates talked too much. Evan listened. That was a low moment in his life. Quiet, slow, boring. The kind of place where days blur together. But Evan was patient. In his first year, he caused no trouble. He worked in the laundry, folded sheets, cleaned floors, smiled when guards spoke to him. They called him easy. That was their mistake. At night, Evan lay on his bunk and counted seconds between patrols. He listened to pipes. He felt air move through walls. He learned the prison's breathing. 2 years passed. Then one night, during a heavy storm, the power flickered. Not fully out, just enough. That was all Evan needed. The next morning, his cell was empty. At first, guards thought it was a mistake, a paperwork error, a transfer gone wrong. Then they found his uniform folded neatly on the bed. That was escape one. The prison went into lockdown. Roads were closed. Dogs were brought in. Helicopters flew low over the trees. But Evan Cole was already gone. For 3 weeks, America searched. Then he was caught. He was found in another state, working under a fake name at a construction site. Calm, quiet, almost smiling when the cuffs went back on. The news called him lucky. The prison system called him dangerous. Evan was sent to a higher security prison this time. Blackridge Correctional Facility. Thicker walls. Fewer freedoms. More eyes. They thought this would end the story. They were wrong. Blackridge was older, dirtier, built fast decades ago. And old buildings have secrets. Evan was placed in a cell alone. No job, no yard for weeks. Those were low days again. Lonely, silent, heavy. But Evan did not panic. He watched. He noticed a maintenance worker who always left the door unlocked for 5 seconds too long. He noticed a guard who skipped the lower tunnel during night rounds. And he noticed something else. The prison was built over an old drainage system. Most inmates didn't know. Most guards forgot. Evan remembered. He made friends slowly. Quiet ones. Men who owed favors. Men who wanted cigarettes or extra food. Nothing big. Nothing suspicious. Then one night, an inmate overdosed in another unit. Chaos followed. Guards ran. Radio screamed. Doors opened and closed too fast. That was when Evan moved. He slipped into the maintenance tunnel during the confusion, crawled through mud and water, held his breath under a rusted grate, and then silence. When the alarms went off again, Evan Cole was no longer inside the prison. Escape 2. This time there were no sightings, no tips, no arrests. Weeks passed. Months passed. The case went cold. Some said Evan died in the river. Some said he crossed the border. Some said he was living a normal life under a new name. The prison never found a body. And Evan Cole was never seen again. The second escape broke something inside the system. Blackridge Correctional Facility went silent after Evan Cole vanished. No jokes, no smiles. Guards walked faster. Supervisors shouted more. Everyone was scared, but no one said it out loud. Because this time, Evan didn't just escape. He disappeared. The warden held a press meeting and said, "We believe the inmate drowned while attempting to flee." But his eyes told a different story. They never found a body. They searched the river for weeks. Divers went down again and again. Dogs followed tracks that stopped at the water's edge and went nowhere. Evan Cole was gone. That should have been the end. But it wasn't, because when a man escapes twice, people start asking questions. And some of those questions had answers no one wanted to hear. 3 months after Evan vanished, a man named Frank Miller started talking. Frank was a retired guard. He had worked at Blackridge for over 20 years. He watched the prison get old. He watched corners get ignored. He watched rules bend. Frank went to a reporter and said, "That inmate didn't get lucky. He learned." The reporter listened. Frank explained how Evan always watched, how he asked small questions, how he stayed invisible. He wasn't fast, Frank said. He was careful. That interview aired on a local station. The public got nervous. If Evan could escape twice, what else could he do? The reward for information doubled. Tips came in from everywhere. A man in Montana said he saw Evan working at a gas station. A woman in Texas said he lived next door. A truck driver said he picked him up on a highway at night. None of it checked out. Evan stayed invisible. Those were low moments again. Slow, quiet, waiting. But something else was happening behind the scenes. The FBI reopened the case. They didn't just look for Evan. They studied him. They went back to his childhood, his school records, his old jobs. That's when they found something strange. Evan had moved a lot as a kid. Different towns. Different names on school forms. Sometimes his last name changed. Sometimes his first. It wasn't illegal, but it was unusual. One agent said he learned early how to disappear. They also found letters Evan had written in prison. Not sent, just drafts. Most were normal, boring, but one stood out. It said, "Once you leave the cage, never stop moving." That scared them, because it meant Evan planned to stay free. A year passed. Then something happened. A man was arrested in Oregon for a minor crime. Shoplifting. Nothing serious. When police ran his fingerprints, the system paused. The match was close. Too close. The man's name was Daniel Wright. He was calm, polite, cooperative. But when agents arrived, he was gone. Again. The motel room was empty. The window open. The bed untouched. They never confirmed it was Evan, but everyone knew. That was the first sign. Then came another. A woman in Colorado reported that her neighbor vanished overnight, left behind furniture, clothes, food in the fridge. He had paid rent in cash. No social media. No records. The pattern was there. Evan wasn't hiding in one place. He was passing through, always one step ahead. Those were high moments of the story. Big, loud, frightening. But for Evan, life was quiet. That's what investigators believed. They thought he worked small jobs, slept in cheap places, changed names like shirts. They believed he followed one rule: never stay long. Then came the biggest break. Or so they thought. A man walked into a police station in Nevada and said, "I know who you're looking for." He said Evan saved his life once, pulled him from a wreck, gave him money, left without a name. The man said Evan told him, "Some people don't get second chances. I took mine." Police tracked the area. They searched nearby towns. And then, deep in the desert, they found something, a burned-out cabin. Inside was a mattress, food cans, a notebook, and on the wall, written in charcoal, were 3 words: "Still not caught." The media exploded. America panicked, because that message wasn't old. It was fresh. Evan Cole was still out there. And now, he was watching them watch him. The burned cabin changed everything. Agents swarmed the desert. Roads closed. Helicopters flew low. Dogs searched every mile around the cabin. Noses pressed the ground, tails stiff. They found nothing. No fingerprints. No footprints. No DNA they could trust. The notebook was the only clue. Inside were lists, dates, town names, short notes written in neat letters. 2 nights. Cash only. Move before sunrise. It read like a map of a life always on a run. The last page had one line. If you're reading this, I'm already gone. The FBI went public again. They said Evan Cole was extremely intelligent and skilled at avoiding detection. They warned people not to approach anyone who looked like him. But Evan didn't look like anyone. That was the problem. Months passed. Then a year. Sightings slowed. Tips dried up. The case grew cold again. Some agents believed Evan had died. Exposure. Illness. An accident in the wilderness. Others didn't. One agent, Maria Lopez, refused to close the file. She said, "Men like him don't stop. They fade." She followed patterns instead of faces. Cash jobs, temporary housing, places people pass through but never stay, truck stops, farms, small towns off the highway. Then she found something small, a library card. It belonged to a man named Noah Grant, issued in a town in Missouri. No photo, paid in cash. The books checked out were strange. Survival guides, maps, books about changing identity. Maria felt it in her bones. This was Evan. She went to the town herself, talked to clerks, waitresses, mechanics. Most said the same thing. Quiet guy, kept to himself, left already. One waitress remembered him clearly. He tipped well, she said, and he said something once. What? Maria asked. He said, people only see what they expect. Maria drove away knowing she was close. But close wasn't enough. 2 weeks later, the house Noah Grant rented was empty, clean, no trash, no sign anyone lived there. Just one thing left behind. A folded piece of paper on the kitchen table. On it were the words, "Second chances don't knock." Maria stared at it for a long time. She knew then that Evan wasn't running anymore. He was living. Years went by. Technology changed. Faces aged. Memories faded. Evan Cole became a story told in training rooms. A warning. A legend. The inmate who escaped twice, they said, and vanished into America forever. No arrest was ever made. No body was ever found. Somewhere, maybe in a small town, a man worked a normal job, paid in cash, smiled politely, helped his neighbors, moved on before anyone learned his past. Or maybe he didn't. Maybe he became someone else again. The file on Evan Cole is still open, and every now and then, when a quiet man disappears overnight, someone wonders if he's still out there, watching, moving, free,